This podcast is brought to you by Spotify for podcasters. Have you yourself ever wanted to become a podcaster? Well, Spotify makes it simple and easy to do so. You can record, edit, and even distribute your podcast straight from their app. The best part? It is absolutely 100% free. Visit their website, podcasters.spotify.com, for more details, and download the app on your Apple or Android devices today to get started on your podcasting adventure. That's Spotify for podcasters. What's going on, y'all? Travis Fowler, Hark Rider, back again with the Four Corner Post, and this is interview number 2. And I had to do my second interview with somebody else that was actually very important to me in my indie wrestling, pro wrestling life, I should say. The man who actually gave me my shot. So, without further ado, let me introduce you to the Natural Born Villain, Tim Rockwell. Tim, thank you very much for taking the time to do this with me. I've been trying to build up this podcast, and one of the ways I wanted to do it was to do interviews with guys so that I could introduce potentially to the rest of the indie wrestling scene the guys that we got here in Oklahoma, because we got a lot of really good veterans that can help teach the younger guys, as well as just giving us cool stories that they got.
Oh,
so,
yeah, 100%.
You and I have actually worked together here. WFC is your baby.
Yep.
It's what you started. Yep. And I was privileged enough to get an opportunity back in 2016, which I'm sure we'll go into here in just a little bit. But I want to make these interviews more like just a conversation, because I think you and I have talked fan before. We've had a little bit of conversation with wrestling in general, but we've never sat down and actually like had a one-on-one. So I want to know from start, how did you get involved in professional wrestling, and how was the training process for you?
Well, see, these questions are easy to me because, every podcast I go on to, it's the same thing. Mm-hmm. But I like to try to tell the same story, but differently. Because I don't want to seem like I'm repeating myself on every single podcast I go on to.
Right.
So, to sum it all up, professional wrestling's been in my life since the day I was born. Mm-hmm. My stepdad, so my mom married my stepdad, which would make him my stepdad. But his sister was married to a wrestling promoter.
Oh, okay.
And then his best friend was my Uncle Bernie.
Gotcha.
But he wasn't my uncle. So my aunt ended up marrying my Uncle Bernie's brother. So now he's my uncle.
Yeah.
So now I had an uncle that was a wrestler. I was excited. Then I had an uncle that was a promoter. I was excited. So as a kid, every Saturday night, I was right there. Like whether it was at a little armory, a little hole-in-the-wall building. He did a few shows at the Brady Theater.
Oh, wow.
Which is like Tulsa Theater now.
Yep.
The Brady Theater ones were so cool because it was before they did all the reconstruction on it. So you had that walkway up top and everything. So those were really cool. And I tried to rent it out for WFC. Anyway, $2,000.
We got guys. This is one of the things about podcasts is we have unexpected things, and we had to have husband doing husband duties for a second there.
Sometimes she's the most important woman in my life.
So hey, no, I get it. I get it.
Stop a wrestling show for that woman.
You and I had a conversation of that on social media just recently, and I think she co-signed what I said on something. So I'm like, I'm staying in Tiffany's good graces on this one.
Yeah. So, but anyways, I would always go to these wrestling shows. But my uncle was huge in kayfabe. I was never allowed in a ring. I never got to play in the ring. That was a sanctuary. Mm-hmm. Only professional wrestlers were allowed into it. If you weren't a professional wrestler, you didn't get in it. That's just how. And I was around. I'd watch them build the ring, take the ring down. I mean, there was a point where it was almost an all-wood ring, and they just had to screw the side rails in. Yeah. But at wrestling in the early 90s, you know what I mean? You got what you could.
Yeah.
So as things went on, my uncle eventually, around 95, 96, I want to say 95, he stepped out of the wrestling business. Then Rocco Valentino and Pete McGuire started OPW. I wanted to become a wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
So I found out they were doing training sessions. So I went up there, and there was a guy there. No, sorry. I went up there. I wanted to do it. I was like 17 years old. I wanted to do it. Parents' permission. My dad said he'd love for me to become a professional wrestler, but he wasn't going to co-sign for it. So I needed to wait till I was 18 before I did it. So things fast forward, like 17, 18, OCW, OPW was shut down. So now we're at OCW, which is like early 2000s. I'm like 18, 19 years old. I go to OCW because they're holding open tryouts for you to sign up, and I wanted to be a pro wrestler.
Right.
But there was one guy I couldn't stand. I hated this dude. Like, this dude was a complete ass. And I was like, I do not want to be a pro wrestler.
Right.
Justin Lee was his name.
Are you kidding?
Justin was like, I hated the dude. Like I didn't like how he carried himself. I hated the way he looked. Just everything. I was like, this guy he's an ass, man. If this is the guys I got to be around, I don't want to do pro wrestling. I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm out. So I stepped out. OCW then quit doing it. Then went to TPW. SRPW was around. It's like 2003 now. So it's 3 years later. I told my Uncle Bernie how bad I wanted to be a pro wrestler. Like, I really want to do this. This is something I've wanted to do my whole life. Like, not a promoter, wanted to be a pro wrestler.
Right.
He's like, I know someone that's training. Dexter Hardaway. He's training over at SRPW. Let's go up to the show and let's check it out. So I went to the show and watched the shows in front of like 30 people. And I was like, man, this is something I really want to do. But that changed after I got in and helped them promote and start drawing bigger crowds.
Right.
And then they was running a training school. I was like, how much is training? She goes, well, how much do you have? I was like, I got $30. She goes, there's your down payment. See you on Tuesday. So I went there on Tuesday and I paid like $30 a week. I think I ended up paying a total of like $100 to train eventually. And then like 3 months later, they put me into the show. And I trained 4 days a week for like 6 months. Not 3 months. 4 days a week for 3 months.
Wow.
So we got to train 4 days a week plus show days. So it just
got that extra ring time.
That extra training, and Dexter gave me all this one-on-one training. Like, there'd be days nobody was there. He said, "Hey man, you want to go work out? Sure, come pick me up. 11:50, dude, and we'll
just go do it.
Go do it." And I mean, we would go, and then he would take me to shows. Like, he took me to Dusty's show where they had like main event like DDP versus Johnny Swinger. You had the Lone Star Dustin Rhodes,
Oh, wow.
Half his face was like the state of Texas, painted.
Yeah.
And the main event was Dusty Rhodes versus Abdullah the Butcher. And you're talking green, me. I'm like, this is awesome. This is awesome. This is what I want to do. This is great. And so I trained, did that, and then things just, I started learning more. I did this rookie character. I didn't really care if that's what they wanted, so I rolled with it. And then I get this phone call. And he said, hey, man, how's things going over at SRPW? It's all right, man. I was like, not really storyline based. He goes, man, I got a story for you if you want to. I was like, what? And at the time, if you worked for SRPW, you didn't work for TPW. It ain't like now. Like, you can work for WFC, Core, and Wall all in the same time.
Right.
And not be a big problem. To me, it is, because I don't want my champions doing that, because I don't want to lessen my champions. But like, these guys, they need all the work they can get.
Yeah.
If that means going over there working, dude, get all the work you can. But there's going to be a time that you're going to have to step it up. And come to the big leagues. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I get this phone call, and he's like, man, I think it'd be great if you and your uncle came in and did this Texas character, like be a tag team. You know what I mean?
I've heard about
it.
This.
Like Texas Heat.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Texas Heat. That's what we got is Texas Heat. And then the guy was like, he was all like, I'm thinking like, not like the Texas Outlaws. I was like, I don't want to do the cowboy thing.
Right.
I don't want to do it. I wanted to do more of like wrestling singlets and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, well, what about like Texas Inc.?
Oh, yeah.
Texas Incorporated. Now we're talking, And so me and Bernie got the singlets, matching singlets and everything. By the way, the guy that I'm talking about is Justin Lee.
Again, here we go.
So now it went from me hating Justin Lee to, this guy probably, see, he wanted to work me.
Yeah.
He wanted to work a story with me. So before he even brought me in, he brought me in as a singles wrestler. He never even brought Bernie in, and Justin worked a story with me.
Oh,
and
wow.
And me and this was the start of our 20-year feud.
Yeah.
So we started this in 2005.
Wow.
So more of a 19-year. We've almost feel like we've wrestled so many matches, at least over 100 matches together.
Yeah.
And then after that was done, I was running an alliance with Ryan Davis and my Uncle Bernie. Then Bernie was feuding with Rocco. I was feuding with Justin. It was just good, fun feud. And the reason why I loved it the most, because it was the last feud my grandma got to watch before she got Alzheimer's. So it's like that feud itself. It may not say I'm a better worker now than I was then, and Justin's a better worker now than he was then. But I wouldn't trade that feud for anything, because that right there is what created me. My
sentimental values there. Yeah.
Sentimental value. And like, if it wasn't for Justin saying, "Hey, come over and work with me," I would have hung him up. I was getting to the point where I was like, I'm not having fun no more.
Yeah.
It's boring. I'm getting bored. And then Justin brought the love back in wrestling. So that went on. And then a promotion like MWA came around, which ran out of Spavinol. Me and Justin went and wrestled out there. More went on, and then it came to where basically I've been a wrestler for 7 years. I have started to feel like now I think I need to figure out how to get onto the WWE, how to go to the TNA, how to do these things.
Right.
And the more I did it, and you got to realize then I didn't care about a gym. I didn't think I can do this. I don't need to look good.
Right.
You kind of do.
Yeah.
You kind of do. You don't need to look like the crowd.
No.
So I got approached about a little boy fighting brain cancer, and I did that first writer show. And if you'd asked me then, hey, you think you'd be a part? Not a chance. My wife ain't gonna let that happen. So we did the show for writers. And we did another show. Family wanted us to do another show. Then we did another one. Next thing you know, I own a ring. And my wife was like, you told me. I was like, technically, it's wrestling for a cause's ring, and it's not my thing. So, I try to do the old, now she goes, now. And now Tiffany wasn't involved with wrestling yet.
Right.
And then once we started going, we did a benefit for her grandmother for the American Cancer Society. That was like 2014. And Tiffany first started doing concession then.
And it's just been from there since.
Then she started elevating it, evolving it, making it bigger, going with pulled pork nachos, going burritos, going with potatoes. I got me already thinking.
I know you're kind of expand on this.
So now she's built this whole thing. So now I got to focus on how we build WFC bigger.
Which, before we go any further with that, because we touched on it briefly. You did the first WFC show with Ryder.
Mm-hmm.
How did all that come together that put you in front of him, to meet him, to realize what he was going through, and then to organize the show? How did that happen?
So his godfather, Tom DeClue, was posting on, like, at the time 106.9 had this like community board on Facebook. And he had posted on there that his godson was a 4-year-old fighting brain cancer. How do we raise money? People are talking bake sales, softball tournaments. How about a pro wrestling event?
Yeah.
What's the worst that could happen? How about doing it? He goes, is that something you do? I was like, I have never organized a wrestling event, but I've done a lot of promoting. I've done a lot of booking. So I had hit Mike 2 up about it. And first show technically wasn't a WFC show. It was a compound show.
Gotcha.
But to me, that was the start of WFC. So that will always be WFC's first show. It may have had Compound's name on it.
Right.
That was Wrestling for a Cause,
Yeah.
And I'll note Mike Isles and CM Burnham,
mm-hmm.
they're technically the ones that came up with Wrestling for a Cause.
Oh, wow.
I had no idea what he's like. Okay, I think Mike Isles made it say, "You like wrestling for a cause."
And then here we are,
Okay.
11 years later.
Okay, I give you credit, Mike Isles. WFC was yours. So he gave me that idea. Well, anyway, so we reached, the family reached out to me, and I still talk to the family today.
Yes, you do.
Like my crowbar is named after Ryder's grandmother, Shirley.
I see. Okay,
So that's where Shirley came from.
Okay.
With Ryder's grandmother, which she's a saint. You know what I mean? So I still talk to him. His mom still comes to every single Ryder Cup to give away the trophy. You know, she didn't make last year because she had to work, but that's fine. So
by the way, y'all, we keep saying bye to some of our colleagues that come in because we're filming this while we're taking down a wrestling show.
Yeah.
So if you see us do that, that's what it is.
So we raised, I don't know, quite a bit because they did a silent auction. We did more on silent auction than we did the front door. I think we only did like 800 on the front door, but it was great. Family walked away with like $2,000.
That's awesome.
So that was awesome. And then like I think 6 months later, I got asked to do another one for a little girl, and then she passed away right before we did the show. But her dad or her representative came down. I think we raised like $1,200 that show. And then I got approached about doing a show for little JJ Garza, which put us right back in Owasso. We did it for JJ. Those numbers, I want to say 1,300 on that one. So the prices were starting to go up.
But everywhere you were doing,
so then I told, okay, guys, we're going to go. Yeah, exactly. We're going to do WFC 4 times a year.
Okay.
Then it went to 6 times a year. All right, let's do it 12 times a year, 14 times a year, 16 times a year, 24 times a year. Okay, now we're getting out of hand.
Yeah.
But we're raising all this money because now we're at 11 years, almost at $200,000.
Yeah, that's insane.
That's impressive to me.
Yes.
Like that, 11 years, $200,000. You know what I mean? Like,
and it's all been going straight to where you need it.
Straight to the families. Like, I have never, ever made a dime off Wrestling for a Cause, and I will never accept a dime from Wrestling for a Cause. I don't care if Wrestling for a Cause was donated $1 million tomorrow. I don't want none of that money because that's the children's money. You know, you're going to have people out there that are going to question me.
Sure, but that's anybody.
They're going to question it, and you know who always questions it? Other promoters. That's what happens. Other promoters question, never the workers. The workers see the work. You know, you got guys like Nasty, Sam Stackhouse, who've been with me, seen me write checks, go to hospitals with me. We do those visits, you know.
Yeah.
So it's like I have guys like Sam and Nasty that will go to bat for me like all day. Like you can talk all you want, about Tim Rockwell. Say anything in the world you want. Where they draw the line is when you start bashing WFC.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, you can say F Tim Rockwell all day. Doesn't hurt my feelings.
Right.
But the day you say F WFC,
that's when it's a problem.
That's when we have a problem. That's when you and I are going to have this problem because this company, yes, sure, it's owned by me.
Right.
But it
doesn't benefit you personally.
It doesn't benefit me at all. What it does is it benefits our community. So if like you don't, I always look at it like I'll get like a screenshot or something, right? And I'm not trying to bring drama.
No.
Because that's just people understand this is professional wrestling. This is how it works.
Right.
Any come and go Quick Trip, you name it. Walmart, Kmart, you name it. You know what I mean? Everybody's had these problems.
Right.
When you're in the same business, even if you're not in competition, you're in competition because we're fighting for fans here.
Absolutely.
And I think fans can enjoy all of it. I've always thought that.
You and I just had a conversation recently about that.
Yeah. I think wrestling's for everybody, and I'm glad there's other companies in Oklahoma because I would hate to be the only wrestling company in Oklahoma. You know how hard that would be?
Oh yeah.
Over hundreds of wrestlers here in the state of Oklahoma. I can only use 20 of them.
Yeah.
So
the more we got, the more work everybody else
has
got.
So and it makes them better, you know. And you'll get guys saying, "Oh, Tim Rockwell doesn't like other people working for." That's not true. That's not true.
Oh, I've seen that. The contrary.
What I want is if we're training you, you don't go wrestle other places until you're done training. That's my thing.
I think that's
my thing. Like the smart. If we're training you, at least have your debut match with the people that are training you. Then, but I also like the fact that there's 3 training schools in the state of Oklahoma, right?
Yes.
And if you're not started with a school, you are able to travel and work with, like kind of like what Red James was doing.
Right.
He was able to train with everybody. That was good because that's going to make you better. Unless you're training with people that have no idea what to do.
Yeah, that's a whole other
It's a
animal
whole
in
other
and of
ballgame.
itself.
That's why I always credit Justin. Yeah, Justin may not be the most entertaining trainer, but he's not supposed to be. He's supposed to teach you the things that you don't know,
Yep.
not the things that you've already been taught.
Which I can say and vouch for personally, he does quite well at.
Yeah, so the heat on me, I'm totally cool with. I'm totally cool with. Like,
Right.
I've been hated my entire freaking life, man. Like, I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan, so you cannot say anything bad to me worse than what you've already called the Cowboys.
Oh no, we deal with it every season.
So like that's nothing. That is 100% nothing to me. I care about WFC like a child. So like, if you're talking stuff about, remember, you're talking something bad about WFC, you might as well just go ahead and talk about my daughter, because we're gonna have some words. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how important this company is to me. That's how important what we're doing, everything we're doing. Like just seeing families come out, and the fact that I just got a text message from Luke's parents,
Mm-hmm.
and they said these kids will not go to bed. They will not shut up. They're having a blast. And Luke's in the hospital, so they're calling Luke and they're telling Luke how much of a great time they're having and everything. And it makes Luke happy, you know. So like,
and that's all we want at the end of the day.
And that's all I've ever wanted at the end of the day was families to enjoy themselves, put on great professional wrestling, serve amazing food, make it a full-blown attraction.
Yeah.
So that's where we're headed now with WFC. We're headed into turning WFC into a full-blown attraction.
Which is amazing.
Which is amazing. And when I say that, and I'm not saying this is what sponsors are telling me. This is what the people that are gonna, when we go 501c3, things are gonna change for WFC forever. You know what I mean? That means they will come up with sponsorships. They will make sure guys are taken care of. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They will make sure if you're being pulled away from your family, it's worth it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. If it's Father's Day, there's going to be there's going to be a reason you're there. So it's like they want to turn us into like what the Drillers is, what Tulsa Oilers is, but year-round attraction.
That's
Imagine
awesome.
The circus all year round. Once a month, you know what I mean? Whether it be that, so it goes to that. We signed this deal with Skateland, or the Cypress Event Center. Forgive me, do not sue me, Sheila. We dubbed it WrestleLand. This is our home for the next year.
Mm-hmm.
When the 501c3 gets approved, then they wanted to put us in our own venue.
Oh, that's awesome.
Call us get our own arena, so we can do our own things. We can produce the birthday parties and do more shows for more families, and not only that, like the way things will work benefit the families 10 times more than what it does now. So the way it'll be set up once we go 501c3, the way the budgeting works is guaranteed. Every show they're guaranteed $1,200.
Oh wow, that's beautiful.
Then on top of every ticket sale. So it goes from $1,200 and it can go up to $3,000, $5,000. So literally, it's changing the lives of these families. Because if you can get to where you're at one day, maybe, in my opinion, I'm hoping, I'm praying, because I've seen it happen, that one day we're writing $10,000, $20,000 checks. That's my goal. Be able to write family $1,200, $3,000 checks. That's awesome. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But knowing you can write a $20,000 check and maybe pay their rent for the entire year, and they don't have to pay a dime, and they all have to do is take care of that child.
Yep.
That's my goal. That's my goal with professional wrestling. Utilize professional wrestling for positive, not negative. A lot of people use professional wrestling for negatives. Turn everything into negative. Let's turn this into a negative. Let's put politics into it. Let's put religion into it. Keep politics and religion out of professional wrestling.
Yep.
Involve your community. Involve the families, involve the guys that have been putting their life on the line for the last 20 to 30 years, you know. And, I see a lot of shows where it's rookie versus rookie.
Mm-hmm.
It's a guy with 6 months experience versus a guy with 3 months experience. And that's bad.
Sure.
That is bad. One thing I told these guys, you will never, ever work each other in WFC. You will always work better guys. You will all, and I'm not knocking, but a guy that's in 6 months and 6 months and 3 months, they're not going to have a good match.
No, compared to a guy that's been doing it for like 6 months to a guy who's done it for 10 years.
They're going to have a spot fish.
Right.
Yes, everything that they learned in training, they're going to hit everything. And it's going to be fluent, but there's not going to be any psychology. There's not going to be any sense whatsoever, And that's all I'm trying to preach. It's all I'm trying to bring into professional wrestling. Then when I do that, I don't know if it's my tone, the way I say it, but then I become the bad wolf. Tim's just out of touch with pro wrestling. Look, I don't know if you had cussing on here, but look.
We try to refrain, so I'll give that.
Look, I'm not Jim Cornette. I evolve.
Right.
I evolve. I know what this market needs.
Right.
I've been in this market for 20 years. I know professional wrestling in Oklahoma. So I know what they want and what they need. And that's what WFC provides them. And I'm not tooting my own, but I feel we're the only company giving them that. Don't get me wrong, because companies like Core, UWO, they're giving fans what they want.
Right.
They're giving it on a different level that WFC can't give them. I can't give them death matches. I can't give them hardcore, but they can.
Right.
They can give that fix.
They fill that niche somewhere.
Yeah. So whatever they're doing, just so you guys think, like, I'll talk to you right now. Like, I don't hate you guys. I don't hate nobody in the state of Oklahoma.
As it counts.
I don't hate anybody. They hate me. So just so you know, you and I, we don't have heat. We don't hate each other. We're all in this together. And if we were to make this better, we could make this better. Egos won't let it happen. So I'm not even going to try. So I'm just going to let
but you know, one day that can change.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, right now, if all the feds work together, we could get rid of the athletic commission tomorrow.
Oh, well, and we don't need to go into the details of
the
athletic commission.
So I'm just saying, literally, if we work together, there would be no athletic commission. That's suspending people for dumb stuff, but let's be real, rules are rules. It's like living in your mom's house. If you want to live here, you obey by those rules. If you break those rules,
you don't need to live here no more.
Yep. So it's like, my thing is, if you don't like the athletic commission, wrestle Kansas.
There you go.
Wrestle Texas. Wrestle Arkansas. There are so many states around us that don't have a commission except for Oklahoma, Missouri. Stay away from those if you don't want to deal with the commission. I hate dealing with the commission, but I like to wrestle, so I'm gonna do it. So
that's kind of what I'm gonna do up here in June. Let me tell you, man, as somebody who doesn't, I swear you could probably pass off as a Southern Baptist preacher because you went on. I gave one question and you went, which is wonderful because I don't need to fill with a bunch of questions. You kind of answered almost everything.
It's built up things that I've always wanted to talk about, but I don't want to get on Facebook and just start talking about it.
I get you.
Like, well, what's he ranting about?
It's like your personal diary.
Like I want someone to ask me those questions so I can tell them. You know, I don't want it to be a personal diary, and I'm trying not to post on Facebook.
I get you
because it gets me in trouble. I feel like I say the wrong thing sometimes. I'm just trying to inspire people. I'm trying to get people to understand where I'm coming from as a promoter. If you want to get booked, you want to be a cool, just do what I ask you. That's it. Just do what I ask. Do what I ask. And that means, don't go on social media dropping F-bombs. And I'm not going to use you. I'm not going to use you because if one sponsor sees that, they're gone. And there's people that I love in this business that I will not book ever again. You know what I mean? Because they have cussed in my ring. They have caused me to lose family. They have caused me to lose sponsors. And I love those dudes to death, but I will never use them again. And that's okay. We're friends.
Yeah.
We can still be friends. I don't have to book you. So in a nutshell, that's how I started professional wrestling.
There we go.
And by the way, I have never told that story before. So
we got exclusives on this.
So in a nutshell, that's how I started professional wrestling. That's how I'm still in professional wrestling. And like literally, I'm going to be in professional wrestling until they put me 6 feet under, and that almost happened 2 years ago.
I remember.
So like that was my calling, and that was the day. That was the day. The day that I recovered from that heart attack was the day that I said I wasn't going to take crap from nobody ever again. I wasn't going to let no one disrespect me. I wasn't going to let someone step on my toes. I was going to live life the way it needed to be lived because not everybody gets a second chance.
Nope.
I got a second chance. I'm going to do it with the people I love. If you don't want to be a part of my life, you don't want to support what we're doing, then that's fine. It's fine. We do not have to hate each other because of that.
No.
Because we're all in this for the same thing, professional wrestling. So like I'm happy the way WFC is going. I'm happy on how the friends that I've met, the people that my circle that I have, my roster that I have, the crew, like right now, like I should be out there tearing down right now. Tim, we got it. We got it.
They're good. They're good, man.
You put butts in seats. We got this. You know what I mean? So it's like, but I set up. it was 4 of us that set the ring up last night, or was it last night?
I think so. Last night.
So it's just those things that don't mistake my passion for anger.
Yeah.
It's passion.
Oh, yeah.
So if I'm passionate about something, I'm going to complain about something that isn't good. So I care too much about pro wrestling to say, I just want to go have fun.
You want to do more than just have fun.
Go to the fair.
Yeah.
Go to the amusement park if you want to have fun. I'm not saying don't have fun, because pro wrestling's so fun.
Absolutely.
But take it serious. Because if you don't take it serious, people in the crowd are not going to take it serious. If you're going to make a complete mockery out of it, they're going to mock you.
Yep.
And then it becomes a big joke, becomes like a Joey Ryan thing.
Oh,
and
man.
now we are stuck back in the era of wrestling that we all hated. It was just everything comedy. I love comedy.
I do too. It has its place. Yeah.
One match.
Yep.
Not an entire show. I love old school wrestling. Not an
entire
show.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not going to say that, because I love Mid-States, and I love Mid-States too, and it's all old school, but that's their territory.
Right. That's
We're
what they
in a
do.
market in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We're in a market with, what was it, 1 million people?
Maybe.
So we're in a market where they watch the Ring of Honors, they watch the AEWs, they watch the WWEs, they watch the GCWs, they watch it all.
Yep.
So they know what they want to see and what they don't. And that's why I love WFC, because we give them comedy, we give them characters, we give them Luke Langley wrestling.
Man.
You know what I mean? So we give them everything that they need.
Yeah.
From the wrestling to the technical to the ha to the characters. And that's what I want. I want to be versatile. I want to be able to give everybody something of everything.
And I think you do a great job of that. And you know what? We've literally, I think, almost filled the entire 20 to 30 minutes that I was looking at just talking.
Talk hours.
Dude, I can too. And I think you and I could fill up probably an hour. But I know it's winding down and everybody's starting to evacuate the building. So we'll do a second one. Oh, yeah. I told Justin we're going to do a part 2 on him too, because there's so much we didn't touch on. So we'll do a couple more things. First thing I want to bring up is, do you remember the first time I met you? Not just talk, but I met you.
I don't remember the first time I met you, but I remember putting out some. Okay, so I remember putting out something that I needed a color commentator.
Yes.
Because Isles couldn't do it because he was going back to hockey, and Burnham didn't want to do it himself. So I had Coach Doggins. So I had Burnham as color and Coach Doggins as commentator. If you go back and watch the cage match, they're doing commentary. His commentary is phenomenal. I never knew Coach Doggins was that freaking good at play-by-play. He was good.
I love Coach.
But it's not what he wanted to do. He wanted to be Coach Doggins.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay. And the same thing with Burnham. It's not what Burnham wants to do. Burnham wants to be a manager, but Burnham knows. He knows the story. He's been with WFC since day one.
Yep.
So he knows what I need.
Yep.
I don't need him as manager. I need him as my play-by-play. So I remember putting out something, and then you responded. So we had already friends on Facebook, so I know we had already talked.
Yes, we did.
We had to have met somewhere before, because I would not have. But then I remember.
I'm saving it for you to finish this.
Okay. But then I remember you. I said you sent me a message. Hey, I'd love to do it. I said, can you send me a link of your commentary? Then you sent me a link of you doing commentary over New Japan Wrestling. It was Munich, and you was doing solo commentary, and I was just sitting there and I was just listening. Get past the bad quality,
right?
It was just
it's copyrights. I can't do much of anything.
Get past the bad quality. I was listening to it. This dude's good. He could be one hell of a play-by-play, but I don't need a play-by-play. I need color.
Yeah, we actually met, believe it or not, like 4 years prior to that. I came up to you back at a compound show and just introduced myself and things like that. I was originally there to see Kyle Vinikoff at the time. And
Kyle Everlast.
Yes. A buddy of mine told me he wrestled. And so I went to the compound show, met you briefly afterwards. Fast forward to then, I think it was 2014, and you were doing a training session out at the old Sand Springs Church off of Charles Page.
Okay, yeah. Okay, and you'd already trained with Mitch, right?
I had two sessions.
You had a little session because you knew a little something.
Yes.
Okay, I do now. That I don't remember the compound meeting, but I remember that one.
Yes, and that is
it was at one of Robbie's church.
Yes.
It was that little church. That was a really awesome venue.
Yeah. Is your mic still on? Let me double check on you real quick. Is there a light going?
Yeah, it's still on.
Okay. It might be blinking, so if anything, I might take mine off and just hold it in the middle here. But
it is blinking.
Yeah, I think it's still working. But you know what? Just to be safe, we'll just do this.
Just put it right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it should pick up just fine. So, guys, sorry if it doesn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, I actually met you. That was also the same night I first met JD, who was training his first night as well. And we set up the ring inside the church. We did a little bit of bumping, and then I went away for, I think it was 2 years at that point.
Yeah.
And the next time we talked was when I sent that message to you about the commentary.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember specifically you were like, can you be here by 2? Mind you, I worked on Saturdays until 1 o'clock. I went to my gym that was just right up the road, and I saw your post, and it was like 1:30 on Facebook. Sent you that message, and you sent me back the reply at 1:40, and that's when you asked, can you be here by 2?
Mm-hmm.
I was already 15 minutes away from my apartment, so I had to get in my car and haul it there, pack up a bag. I think I made it at like 2:15.
Yeah, because remember we were doing shows at 2:30, 3 o'clock at the time.
Yes.
We weren't on our normal schedule because we were trying to do something. Was it what venue did you do your first commentary at?
Actually, yeah, this was in Claremore.
Okay, so we started at 5.
Okay, yes.
We started at 5.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, yeah. So we started at 5. So you needed to be there by 2 so we could go through everything so you knew what you was doing.
Right.
And I remember because we just had little microphones at first, no headsets.
Little mics.
It was just little microphones that you and borrowed so you couldn't hear each other.
Yep.
And then we got you guys headphones.
Game changer.
Then our production guy brought in headsets.
Mm-hmm.
Then he went on. Then I went off and bought us headsets. And then So it's all come full circle now.
Man, and it's amazing how.
And you've been with us since then. So
6 years.
And if I ain't mistaken, it's literally the longest reigning commentary team.
I think you are
in
correct.
The state of Oklahoma, you know what I mean? That's been together, didn't switch out. There's been a few shows that you couldn't make it, child being born, this and that, anniversaries, which is totally understandable. And then we would find someone like Pierce would come in. It's just gold. It's gold. It's gold. I was like, that's good. That's good. Great backup. That's great backup.
Yeah.
There's a few times we brought in X-Cap and John Cross to do commentary, but yeah, you and Barnum together, that 100% is my Monsoon and Heat.
And we love it. We love
Not
it.
my Jerry and Jim.
Monsoon and Heenan. The original OG bunch that most people. I grew up on the Lawler and King, but I was also a WCW guy. So I was a Tony Schiavone and Heenan and Tenay guy. But man, that was my inspiration to go into commentary. And so I'm glad that you gave me that opportunity back in 2016. Mm-hmm. And here we are in 2023. I'm still doing commentary here for you. We'll do maybe a couple more things, or better yet, we'll just shorten it down. We'll do one more question. Since I only had one question to begin with, we'll do the second one. And then, we'll absolutely do a part 2. Because like I said, Justin wants to do a part 2 and tell stories. We can do that with you too.
Oh, yeah, dude. I got a lot of stories for
you.
See,
and that's what I'm going to reserve a lot of these for. So we'll call this the introductory period. The one question I like to ask everybody, I did it with Justin, and I will do it with anybody going forward. And I don't care if it's working or if it's fan, what is your favorite wrestling memory?
Okay, so it's always going to be the fans chanting the child's name. It's always going to be my favorite memory, but we're going into the wrestling part. The first one would be the night that I had to be a part of the Caballero Cartel, and the ring was surrounded by everybody with Free Tim Rockwell shirts, and they're banging on the mat like, Free Tim Rockwell. It was like the Daniel Bryan moment. And remember when he had everybody going, it was just like that moment. I think this is right before you may have been there by then.
I don't think I was.
Okay, no. Okay, so this was right before the cage match.
Yes.
So you wasn't there yet.
Right.
This was 15. You came at 16. Okay, and they're slamming on like this surrounded. The ring is surrounded, and they all have Free Tim Rockwell. And at the time, Stevie didn't like fans getting close to him. They were getting close. He goes, okay, I'll free him. Just get away from me. That's what built into me and John's cage match. But my absolute favorite moment of all time right now, my moment, isn't the natural of me turning heel and nasty at the church. That's a great moment. Mm-hmm. The night that I won the WFC championship in that cage match against John, I got hugged by my best friend, ex-Scout. Mm-hmm. Nope. 30 days later, he turned to me. But when I won that belt, I turned around. My daughter hugged me in there. She was in the ring crying, hugging, happy. That was my moment. That moment right there, when my daughter got in that ring and hugged me, like that was the moment I cherished. That picture I still have on my wall of her hugging me and us just in that moment. Mm-hmm. Even though I knew I wasn't going to hold the belt too much longer, that it was just like a 30-day thing.
Right.
It was that moment. Like that was the greatest moment of my entire professional wrestling career. And one day you're going to have that moment.
Oh yeah. You know what I mean? That's the whole reason I'm doing training to begin with.
Like that moment, like now my daughter's almost 14. I'll never get that moment ever again. So I'm very happy that I got it. I want to say she was 6. So I'll never get that moment back. So that'll always be my favorite moment that I'll always cherish, because like nothing will ever top that.
No, and that's exactly why I wanted to do what I did, because as I tell everybody, and I'm not going to go on a tangent on myself, the whole reason I wanted to go into wrestling was because I didn't get into wrestling for the commentary. I got into wrestling because of what I saw in the ring. So I didn't want to be the guy that at, we'll say, 40, and I'm sure it could happen even sooner.
Probably.
My daughter comes to me with some dream or aspiration, whether it's doctor, whether it's I want to be nurse or lawyer or even wrestler, maybe. That would be cool. But if she goes, this is my dream, Daddy, did you have a dream? Did you do it? Did you go for it? I don't ever want to lie to my daughter, so I didn't want to look her in the face and say, Daddy didn't really go for it. Whereas now I'm a 32-year-old man who, do I think I could do this as a gig, like full-time on the road? Probably not, because I want to be there with my daughter. But I know the one thing I can do is do the one thing I never thought possible and go do that stuff in the ring and have that moment to say, yeah, baby girl, Daddy went for what he wanted to do and he did it.
And one day you're going to be in that position where you can step away from the table and actually do it. You know what I mean? Until then, you keep your butt behind that table because you're doing a great job. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
But my thing will always go off on, if that's something you want to do as a pro wrestler, you better hope to God there's someone that can take your spot behind that table. Because right now, it's more important you being behind that table than in that ring.
I got you.
But you may show me something where, oh, he's meant to be in the ring, because just remember, professional wrestling isn't for anybody.
No.
Professional wrestling business is for everybody. But being a professional wrestler isn't for everybody. So if you do it and you feel like maybe it's not, you go right back to that table. You know what I mean?
Hey,
because that's what you're good at.
Yeah, I'm great. I love it.
I promise you'll get that moment in the ring. You'll get that moment with your daughter. You know what I mean? You'll get all of everything you're still training for. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So I don't want you to think, hey, I'm training because I want to learn more about pro wrestling. No, you're training because one day you're going to be in that ring. You know what I mean? And whether it's one match or 10 matches. You know what I mean?
I'm only aiming for the one for now, but like you just said, you never know what happens there.
Yeah. I mean, you look at it like most people, like people do it to try out. We'll use Logan Paul, for example.
Yeah.
He didn't think he was going to do more than one match. It was a one-time deal. Had so much fun. Was so naturally gifted.
Yeah.
Let's do it again.
Yeah.
Let's do it again. Well, now you're going to be wrestling at WrestleMania. You know what I mean? So it's cool because you get people that either has been around their entire life, they get it, they can do it, or people that's never, ever been around it, but they understand how it works and they become like one of the best workers ever. You know what I mean? So it's like Brent Albright. Brent Albright didn't grow up a wrestling fan. The damn bouncer in a bar, you know, and he was found by Rockwell and them and turned him into one of the best wrestlers that ever come out of Oklahoma. And I'll go off and say, like, the best wrestler ever come out of Oklahoma is Brent Albright. You say Danny Hodge, you say all of them you want. Brent Albright's my go-to guy because he gave guys like us, like, oh wow, so we can leave Oklahoma.
Yeah, Justin said the same thing.
You know what I mean? So that's great to me. So
agreed. Well, you know what, man? We have literally spent the time that we wanted here, probably then some more, and we'll do a part 2. I appreciate you taking the time to come after a show to sit down and chat for this time frame. My guys.
And it's 11:58 at night.
Good Lord Almighty! All right, well,
Mad.
we'll do a quick sign off here. Tell people how they can find you and how to support WFC.
Don't worry about finding me. You don't need to find me. Look for WFC. I don't put myself out there. I put my company out there. My company always comes first before me. WFC is on every social media. We're at WFC PRiME. You can find us at Wrestling for a Cause on Facebook. Follow us. Get us on IWTV. Get the app for $10. You can watch over hundreds of hours of this man's voice. He's voiced on all of them.
He's gonna
download it and get it. $10 a month.
He's going to make me get rosy cheeks here in a minute. Guys, Tim, thank you so much for coming. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Always been a pleasure. Thank you for letting me be a part of WFC for these last 6 years and counting. And guys, I'm going to sign off on this interview with the same thing I sign off with on everything with the 4CP. Just continue to love pro wrestling.